take a look at the risk assessment forms. You'll recognize these from your annual risk assessment that you file for your FireWise recognition. The forms start out with your community identification, the authors, the community names, the committee members, and some of the boundary maps for the community itself. Anytime you make a change or add information or participate in this form, strongly recommend that you add your name to the authors list. Here you can see the committee members. Those committees do change frequently and sometimes can require members to take on a couple of different roles. Make sure you update your committee members so that you have, again, a running history. In this case, we can take Mr. Chip and change his role. We can also delete him. You can also upload maps. These are very useful. Please use JPEGs, PNGs, or PDF documents. And try to hold yourself to about 3 maps to try and keep it from getting too scattered. These maps are easily obtainable through Google Maps or something like that. Again, anytime you make a change, it's really important that you click the Save and Next button in order to set those changes into the database. Let's take a look at the Profile section. Here we describe the types of homes, types of properties, the lot sizes, and some of the physical features of the property or the physical features of the community. Really important when you start qualifying or kind of categorizing the nature of the community and the homes that are there. The narrative sections in the topography section are really important. This is something that as authors participate in and as more data comes in and as changes take place over time, the narrative really needs to reflect the community accurately. So take some time and put information into these sections that become valuable for your reporting, but also as you hand off your responsibilities to other leaders down the line, they have a running set of information that helps them with their future planning. Wind exposure and fire history are another important part of this particular part of your living history, as it were. The home construction part reflects the nature of the buildings in your community. Again, this is meant to be an overview, a broad look at the construction in the area, recognizing that there's going to be differences from section to section perhaps, or age of the developments. But as a leader, you're tasked with coming up with just a general statement, an overall statement. And important to that is going to be the idea that you're moving the community towards 100% participation or 100% qualification in these areas. In some cases, we realize, you realize that that's a tall task and may not be possible. In other cases, you have access to tools, resources for personnel, and perhaps county or grant writing opportunities that will give you some additional resources that you can bring to bear. Make sure you include those in your narratives. Make sure you include that information as it becomes an important part, again, of that living document that you can use not only for your reporting, but as you pass this on. Defensible space you'll recognize as those classic areas. 0 to 5, 5 to 30, 30 to 100. And again, looking at it from a broad stroke sort of perspective to try and get an idea of just how capable, how fire resistant, how fire resilient are the properties. If you have questions, there is a little question mark icon that you can click on to help focus your attention, help give you an idea of how those areas might be different from one another. Vegetation, hardscaping, mulch, and trees and shrubs. Moving further down, you could be looking at, again, fire breaks and native grasses, ladder fuels, things of that nature. And as you go even further out, you get to the heavy accumulations, you get the outbuildings, and your canopy coverage that you might have in the area. You also have the opportunity to describe what work might be done for your common areas. HOAs oftentimes do have common areas, BLM lands, etc. And as always, make sure that you put something in to help move your community forward by addressing what you might be doing to move the community to 100%. When it comes to the overview, this is where all of your information is brought into a table format and allows you to export this for reporting purposes. So you'll recognize the categories in the criteria section, in the criteria column, vegetation, topography. You'll also see the community's action items, the hours, the expenses, and the volume of material that have been removed from the homeowners' properties and the community as a whole. Very important to keep this information on the reporting side. And in this particular case, the FireSmart application does that for you, brings that into your community overview table. All of this can be exported. You'll see that little set of export icon buttons up at the top. That's going to allow you to print out copies. As you can see an example on the screen. You're going to be able to put it out as a PDF document, save it to your computer, bring it out as a spreadsheet so that you can bring that into additional spreadsheet formats. And you can also copy it straight away and paste it into your word processor that you might have open at the same time. So look for those for any of the tables that have the reporting capabilities. The observed community conditions are, again, recognizable categories. And in this case, the answers that you have put on the previous documents, on the previous pages, are now reflected in this table. The individual results are color-coded so that you get an idea of the relative importance or the relative risk that goes along with each of those sections. If you go back, you'll see the home construction. You'll see it rated at, currently 75. You'll see structural defense spaces, etc., rated at a certain number. And those numbers, those values are reflected in this table. You can sort that table with the little triangle diamond shape icon at the top of the header there so that you can get an idea right from the top to bottom which are your most pressing needs that you might see as a leader in your community. And again, all of this information is outputted into Excel documents, PDFs, print pages, etc. What's nice about it is also exports it in the direction that you have sorted it. So if you've sorted it from high to low, when you print, that's the output that you get. Again, very useful for not only your FireWise reporting needs, but also committee reportings, board members, board minutes. You might also be a part of your grant writing as you continue to move your community along. The owner data is a way for you to see a snapshot of what your homeowners have done with their surveys, their home surveys. And in this case, we can see 17 out of 34 members have filled out their home assessment, their home surveys. And you get an idea of the owner reported data and the relative risk that they have assigned to their properties. This is aggregate data. It's not tied to an individual per se. It's looking at the group, looking at your community as a whole. All the members who have filled out a home survey are reflected in this document. And you can see kind of where their category risks are, what they see as being their most pressing items. By the same token, you can see what items they don't consider to be very pressing, things that they've already taken care of. Perhaps their addresses are already all marked, maybe their native grasses are all cut, and in which case you'll see a low risk rating indicated in this table. really helps to give you some direction, really helps you to validate the kind of reporting that comes to your FireWise reporting information. The most frequent response helps you gauge again how and what your homeowners might be indicating as the relative ranking, kind of on a scale from 1 to 10 for their particular risk areas. You can also sort it in broad categories for access, for example. Here's the driveway access section. You can sort it by home construction, so you get an idea of what items fall into that category. And then you can sort it also by defensible spaces, so you can see, kind of filters out the categories so you get a better glimpse of what's there. And as always, you can print out any of those sections if you wanted to, again, report on a particular part. The homeowner data is something that's very useful. It gives you an idea of what the owners are thinking, but you might also have some drive-by data. And in this particular case, you see we've got 5 drive-by surveys have been filled out. And this reflects the local leaders' attempt to get some information from community members that might be a little bit resistant or unable or require a little more assistance with their homeowner assessments. This is, again, the leader's perspective, and in some cases that may be something that they can't see, but still have to give a general feel for what might be the fire resiliency, the fire preparation, the hardening efforts that might be going on at a particular residence or piece of property. In some cases, you're not going to be able to see the backside of the house or address some of the details. And when you look at the homeowner drive-by survey section, which comes up later in the video, we'll address more of those questions. In cases where you need to do a drive-by survey, a local leader can go ahead and start by clicking on the drive-by survey link, fill out the address. It's an autofill for your community, so you should recognize those addresses per your community. And you get a chance to at least get a general feel for what you see, what the leaders can see regarding the property. We've set it up so that the tabs make it easy for you to move quickly through the individual homeowner assessment. Most are checked already as yes, as a way to expedite things. Some of the more obscure ones might be marked with no. Recognize that anything that is checked as no or unknown is going to be rated at the highest risk value. And anything that is checked as not applicable will then not be included. So in this case, you can see I can move quickly through all of the sections of the assessment, click on the assessment and get myself an idea of where this particular resident sits with regard to their risk assessment. That information then again is included in the drive-by data.